You know what the best part of tattooing is? When your clients bring donuts. And not only donuts, but Mojo Donuts. I don't know if you guys know, this is one of my favorite spots. And our client Sean today walked in with it. I was so impressed. He honestly blew me away. This is, for me, it's magical. I don't know what your guys' thing is. Mine is donuts. Let's talk about the design. We have a back-to-back today and tomorrow, Dragon Fighting Warrior. So really, really cool concept. It has some personal attachment, which is even better. We talked about that last video. Combining amazing artwork, with some meaning. If you can nail those two things, in my opinion, you've created a perfect tattoo. So I tried something interesting today. I want to walk you guys through design process. I tried something new in the design process. I received reference photos. They are amazing. Reference of a warrior, reference of a dragon. I implemented those individually to chat. I said, chat, this is a warrior style I like. This is dragon style I like. I want you to create me a prompt for Midjourney using these figurines exactly, except have them fighting each other. Typically, I would create the figures individually. I'd create my own dragon, I'd create my own warrior. I just tried it. I was like, maybe you can get it all together. It actually produced some really cool images. I can show you some variations. So I took that strong image, that was my base, drew on top of it, made it flow a little better to the way I wanted. The first couple were too wide, whatever. Really happy with the results. Try it, see if you guys like it, if this is something you can implement in your own design creation. Let's take a look at the design. So what we have is two figures, the dragon and the warrior. I did not really want to make them the same size. I wanted to show how powerful and big the dragon is. So the easiest way to make something look big is to get something small next to it in scale, right? It helps us show the proportions, the perspective. And then I also wanted it to flow, like with the natural flow of the body. So this was kind of a challenge, right? Because typically when things are fighting each other, they're facing each other. So we do have our warrior backwards and our dragon, big dragon head kind of coming forward. Dragon's coming in this way. Our warriors face this way. We have the sword coming up the back, flows very nice, but it was looking, for this flow where they meet. It's on this diagonal coming down. We'll round off the top with the head. So all these things were intentional. Our warrior's a lot smaller in proportion to the dragon, showing the vastness of it. And all these were intentional things in the design. There was a few options, to do this with warrior, with dragon. To me, the most interesting part of the dragon's a face. So I knew I wanted a big face, for the dragon. For the warrior, we could have done kind of a forced perspective close up of another face. To me, it didn't really look like they were fighting each other doing that. It just looked like there's a dragon, there's a warrior. So getting a more dynamic image of having them together. And I really like this variation of it. I like how it flows. So that's what we're going with. So our bottom here kind of V's out, which I like, breaks that middle ground barrier. You see in the reference, it kind of just like disappears almost like smoke. So I just wanted to take a look at that texture with you guys. It comes from just having like loose shading, where on our figure, on the armor, we have this very clean, sharp, tight shading. It's very easy to find where the structure is, where things start and end. So we want to take all that and just kind of throw it out the window. So what I'm doing is I'm mapping out, they're just these really simple shapes, where this like leg kind of continues, where the other leg continues, and I'm simplifying them. So I'm getting the shape in, which is just kind of this dark gray, just loose here. I'm going to do that with the remaining shapes. So I'm just circling in a circle pattern with the 3RL, just land some dots on here. Right above it, we have just this kind of like wisp hair, almost texture. That I'm gonna define. That's where the smoke starts to like dissipate, so we can kind of see more structure in that stuff. Underneath it is where it starts to lose its structure. I like to kind of end pieces loose because it's easy to come back in with a piece below. It's not like overly defined or harsh. You know, if I just did like a clean black stop, you know, it'd be like a very harsh way to end it. So I'm just pulling the shade down. And you can see I'm moving fast. I'm kind of like a little all over the place. And what I'm trying to do now is just kind of gradually pull this gray down. I still want it to be full, you know, I don't want like gaps of skin tone. Because we're going from this hair armor that is defined. So I want to kind of transition out. Then next we kind of have these like cloud things coming up, these shapes. So we're going to start to just roughly define that. Kind of curves on the top there. And there's some layers with it. So we start with our darker parts, you know. And I already have some of this defined. Like these outer ones. And I'm just kind of like pulling it down. I'm not staying like too much in the lines. I'm not putting like a lot of details. I have my like different simple shades mapped out here. Right, like you can see some difference in it. And really it's just like dark, lighter, medium, light, dark. And then I'm just gonna start to brush over the entire thing. And it almost like dulls it out. If we're loose with it, if we kind of have, you know, one shade going into the other, it starts to lose its structure and disappear. And that's the effect we're going for. I just wiped it off so you can see what we got going on. You know, we have some separation in our shapes, but this area looks a lot different than this area, where I've taken time to like sculpt, you know, some defining features in there. But I still want it to be like dark and transition to light. So now that I have the separation between the shades, I'm going to try to put one like consistent shade over the entire thing, and we're just going to do a huge downward fade. So because we can see from our reference that the bottom is lighter, I'm going to pull dark from the top and bring it all the way down. So I'm just going to start at the top, pull down, create bigger circles, try to go over everything. And I'm going to repeat this quite a few times. Now I'm cross hatching, I'm doing long ovals over top here. You can see it's starting to fill up. I'm using black, just a little shading solution. Now I've hit the top twice. I'm going to hit this bottom part once. Cross hatch it up. I'm trying to stay pretty consistent. I don't want it to look jagged. I didn't want it to still look controlled and clean. So the idea is after I've separated the tones, I'm just trying to brush a consistent fade over the whole thing. In here we have like some of the smoke. There's like round shapes starting to build on top in the reference. So I can define that a little bit more in there. What I like about this style is you can be like loose with it. I will follow the reference, but it doesn't have to be perfect. I just want it to look intentional, smooth. I want there to be like some breakup between tones. And then it's just kind of adding like whatever shades you want. I went with these kind of like squiggly smoke effect kind of shapes. Just create layers by making, some darker than the next. We have our separated tones back here. I'm just gonna like kind of layer over this. Now that our primary shape is dark, I'm gonna add like a light shape, get rid of some of that skin tone. When we see it, it's building up, it's looking full, but it's still staying loose, kind of giving it that disappearing effect. It's like the tattoo is just kind of fading off into the arm. It's starting to look good over there. And we're just going to repeat that. We're going to gently just kind of create some shapes over here that match that wavy, smoke pattern. You can see I'm moving fast, staying loose. We have leg. I'm just going to define the outside of this just a little bit, just so I don't lose it. Same thing with the other side. By just adding a little bit of dark in there. Lighter tone and just brush over the whole thing. Just going to kind of flatten it a little. And there's this little like negative edge. I'm just going to kind of flick up from it. And we're just going to bring this around. And then that gives us really the effect. So as we move up from here, you can see things get tighter, more defined. So I'm going to get some of this belt and these in there a little bit more defined so you can really see the comparison between the two. Bump up some, get rid of some of the skin tone here by just, taking a light gray and gently going over it. It'll just make the background look a little bit more full. And then we're going to talk about the complete opposite effect up here in some of the armor, where we do it really tight and clean and defined. So let me get some of this stuff in, and then we'll go over the armor pattern. Free stuff. We're giving away free stuff. Bishop machines. Not one, not two, but two. We're giving away 2 Bishop machines. That's awesome. How do you enter? Great question. I'm going to show you right now. Go to Discord. If you're not in, join. Go to the channel that says giveaway. There'll be a post. On that post, a little button, party emoji, click it, you're in. That's it. You have a week to enter. Go to Discord, join, hit the button, be in for a chance to win one of the machines. We're going to have 2 winners and a lot of losers. Losers, you still get something. We have a code, unseen, 15% off. Everything on Bishop, active right now. Maybe you could be a loser and a winner. Go enter now for the chance to win the machines. Good luck. Cool. So as you can see, we moved our way up. We started to define, create some definition to our shade here. We're going to work on these scales here. Scale like armor. Pretty similar to scales you'd see on like a traditional koi. Same concept. So what I'm going to do is just start lining out some of these things. So we have our outside of it, and then kind of our inner lip. That's why you see the 2 lines. The ones on the left are the lightest. Sorry, I was pointing to the right. The ones on the left are the lightest. The ones on the right are the darkest. But what we're going to do is we're just going to shade them individually first, and then we're going to put a big shadow on top of it. So I'm not going to worry about making the ones on the right darker, the ones on the left lighter for now. I'm going to focus more on that at the end. Right now I'm just going to create separation between the lip and like the base of it. So I'll just get into my black here. And I like to create these lines so I can like flick off them. I'm just gonna flick down. And I'm leaving the lip negative. I'm just kind of going back and forth. I like to put the lines in. It's almost like they create like little bumpers. And they're not black lines. You can see I'm just kind of like shading the line in. It's very thin. It's a gray line. I'm using my 3RL. I'm running at 4.5. Pretty typical for me. So all we're doing right now is separating the body from the lip of each one of these individually. And this process ends up becoming a lot like sketching something. You know, we're not really making any like permanent marks, nothing bold. I'm just gonna outline this top here too, just to divide. We're just gonna be working in the body section. If you have a really light hand, you could just pull a line like that too if you want. I'm just in such the habit of kind of just feathering it in. That's how you'll see me do it. Just put a rim on the top here. Now we have everything grayed out. So you see this stencil here. That lets me know that there's negative skin on the left. So I'm not going to go left from that line. And I'm like moving my hand up. I want to do this back and forth all the way across. So it's like one consistent layer. You know, I want to go from line to line. Everything is getting an equal pass. It's going to help the whole shade stay consistently. It's a little long here. Move a little slower so I can hit all the areas. That one was a little choppy. I'm just going to patch it up. Cool. And as it gets smaller like this, we got to move faster, else it'll get darker. So we have the whole body in. It appears darker than it actually is. You can see when I wipe it away, it's still pretty light. We got that first layer in there. So if I look at my reference, the darkest ones are these top two, these back two here, into there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then our lightest ones are there. The lip is always a little lighter than the body. So what I'm going to do now, put a second layer on our darker ones. So I'm looking at the reference, I'm spotting the darkest ones. Putting a second layer on it, making it darker than all the other ones. We're going to include these top two in here as well. This one here has a long stretch. It's a little hard to reach. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put the third layer on it. I'm also going to include the next darkest ones, which are this one. So this is now getting a second layer. And we're going to keep paying attention to the layers as we move across the body. So these are our darkest. So as I do this, you can see the separation starting to create. I wanted to give you guys like kind of a formula, some real, math, paint by numbers type stuff to do that. You could do it by eye if you wanted to, but this is kind of like a foolproof way. By just continuing to layer. It's like you set them apart in the beginning with the different amount of layers, and then you can just add one layer to each one, and everything will just gradually stay darker than the next. So you just keep layering and darkening, you know, to the point which you think it looks good. I like to do it where it just ends up being a little lighter than what I see on the reference, because now we're gonna brush over the whole thing. So it's in there, separated. You know, we've started the process of our fade, but now we're really gonna put a fade over it. So I'm gonna define the top here. So I'm gonna be picking and flicking off that top. And then I'm almost gonna like hard line this back here. And I'm just gonna push a fade over the entire thing. Now this is gonna help darken the little negative space lip that we've created, but it'll also darken the body with it so it doesn't lose the separation. And I'm gonna pull down to the top here. And we're going pretty light because at this point we're going over skin that's already tattooed. And then once I'm off, I'm just going to do circles, just continuing to extend. Small circles, working my way back towards the line. Same thing, small circles. Making my way back. And back to the top. Wipe some of it away so we can see what we got going on. You know, we see the negative starting to become a little gray there. We see a fade has become apparent. Let's flick off from the bottom. And I'm just gonna carry this all the way to the right side. And by hitting the fade from different angles like you see, it's kind of doing like a crosshatch thing. So we're avoiding some directional pattern being shown. We just want like a clean fade. Now I'm going at a diagonal. And remember, his back is like here. So a lot of this area is gonna be dark. We want it to look round, but you know, back's a little bit more flat. The roundness really comes on the ribs. And so I'm gonna work in this area a little bit more. The back of the fade looks nice. I'm pretty happy with it. It's dark, but we can just see a little bit of the separation as well. A little bit in his like armpit here. We'll bring down small circles, small circles. And even on this part too. So not only are we putting a fade, but we're toning down the negative space a little bit. You don't want to leave it negative, then it would come off like a highlight. You just want it to be separated. I think that was like a big mistake I made in the beginning, is I would leave like too many things negative space trying to achieve a texture or create a separation, and then it would just look way too light and it would like throw off the dynamics of the piece. So now it's very clear to me the light's coming from the left side. Man, I'm mixing up my left and rights today. Listen, I'm okay at this tattooing thing, but anything else, math, left, right, spelling, not so good. To me, this highlight is a little intense, so I'm just gonna like brush over the whole thing. It'll still be a very light gray. I don't know, I don't want it to be negative. I want this, I want our whole warrior to be pretty dark. So you can see, it's not like I really like dulled down the highlight. I just didn't really want it to be negative. I didn't want it to be like screaming. And then lastly, just the point that we're at, I'm just gonna brush a mag over pretty much everything in the back there. So I'm gonna come into my black. I'm still running at 4.5. But this whole back side, right side of his body, like I want it pretty dark. It's away from the light. You know, I was doing details on some things and I was leaving it light like even on that belt sticking out. So now I'm kind of like revisiting, I'm taking a look at everything, I'm realizing it's a little too light. So we're just gonna take the mag, brush black over. I used to be scared to do this in the beginning because I was like, oh no, I'm getting rid of all the work I did on like the details and stuff, but it just really makes the piece look so much better. You know, the details are still there, they're a little bit more hidden in the shadows, but I think it's a really cool effect. You know, if you're ever looking at your pieces and you're like, man, they just don't look that full. I feel like there's a lot of open skin or a lot of skin tone. It just looks flat. Might be because you're skipping this step. And shadows really create fullness. And with the mag, we'll go over the back side of the scales. And you could do this with the 3RL. You could just take the time and, you know, go over the skin 5-10 more times and get it. I just think it's a little bit more efficient with the mag. Just brushing a smooth shade. We're not worried about details right now. Just worried about values. Guys, we did it. Made some cool armor. Very obvious. Light's coming from this side. This side's all dark now. We've locked in the details. We built that fade together. We're gonna work our way up onto this cool arm here. We'll get a nice simple cape. We'll start moving towards the dragon. All right, guys, we got some progress on here. There's a few things I want to point out that are happening. First, we're building this background. You know, we have it nice and light. It turns over here lighter as well. To make our guy pop from our background, we need the high contrast, black, right? We need the high contrast, we need sharp details. This brings him forward. I might even be brushing the mag over a little bit more to emphasize, you know, his presence in there. But this is really how we separate him from the background. You know, I'm doing a lot of this different shading. It's just like we did on the bottom here. It's loose, it's open. I'm building up this way, and we're gonna essentially frame out the jaw of our dragon. And then we're gonna again go high contrast defined in the dragon. And these clouds and stuff will just be filler, background, connecting the two images, putting them on the same plane. So, you know, with patience, I'm just gradually building this up. As we move up this way, I'm gonna make it a little darker. It'll look nice on the sword here, which will remain negative space. But that is what we're doing. We're putting in our loose background and making sure our guy here stays in the foreground, using nice contrast, sharp detailing. Cool, so we're good on day one. We got today's session done. We're at a great stopping point, made it about halfway through. That's kind of like how I like to gauge things. If it's 2 days, right, you want to get 50% of it done, if not more. We got right to that 50% mark. We're looking good. Cool, so we're looking good. A little bit of stencil, like the tiniest bit. Like removed at the top here, not too bad. This is all intact. So I'm just gonna back-teen at least the top part, like where we'll have to like re-enter. And I like to just soak it. I'm not gonna put saran wrap on because I'm afraid that will mess up the stencil, but we're looking good to start our day two. All right, so a few things to keep in mind for me, not for you guys, you're just watching. Perspective on the dragon, light source, where we want the black. So nose, mouth jutting out. We're gonna do that a little bit lighter, and we're gonna make it darker as we come to the top left, kind of falling in the back. These are the things I'm paying attention to. I want the high contrast, I want the sharpness involved in the dragon. If I'm looking at my reference, honestly, the reference is like a little flat, so I'm gonna be bumping up certain things in the design, but we're gonna start with the mouth, nose, eyes, and kind of move our way up the arm and then cap off the shoulder. So this is kind of like what I'm planning out. Let's take a look at this. So like this part is gonna be lighter, the lighter part of the dragon. It's the nose that's sticking out, you know, towards our our guy right here. The left side of the face is gonna be darker, so we'll have this nice like dark, right? And then this side will be lighter. You can see a lot of open skin in the stencil, which I'll probably keep it pretty open, at least in comparison to the left side. And as we get up here, we're gonna stay nice and dark as well. I'm gonna reference like this eyebrow, the area, like a lot of these are like really dull grays. So I might like whip black fades into that just to make it a little bit more pronounced. It does look a little flat to me. We'll see. I'm gonna kind of be eyeing it out in the tattoo. That's what makes it fun. So, wish me luck. So I got everything done kind of tight against the original stencil. Got our main subject in, our dragon. Then I had him stand up and I just kind of marked where I wanted it to end, just kind of extending past the shoulder. So these pink marks. Now I am just kind of extending what is already there, right, to the line. You know, fading it out in most areas. Like if something's black or dark gray, I'll continue in the same direction and just have it get a little lighter as it meets our border. This is just going to make the tattoo a lot more form-fitting. So I'll just be going around the exterior of like the existing tattoo and just kind of pushing it to that line, almost like you would with a smudge tool in Procreate. I'm not going crazy, I'm not adding any more details really, because this is all background stuff. Still want the focus to be here. And then I'm going to take a step back once I accomplish this to just look at the whole thing. You know, I'm looking at everything in these forced, like small details. It'll be a good opportunity to kind of stay back, look at the piece as a whole, maybe come back in, hit some areas with a mag, worry about more of the big shadows, the big shapes. But yeah, I think finishing it and making sure it's like tailored nice to the body part is like just as important as the design. So on the shoulders, I like to make the top like rounded. Not like a perfect round, you can see kind of like jagged, a little more loose. So everything up here on the top cannot be skin tone because it is in like our back layer. So I'm just taking my time to brush over everything and just kind of these small circles with this mid gray just to get dots in the skin tone, just because I want it to be behind the face. We did it, guys. It was a team effort, all thanks to Fritz, obviously holding the camera. Cam helped us last night with wrapping it up. Sean sat, and I just stood there. We have the completed piece. I'm really thrilled with the results. Whenever I'm doing these outer image pieces, I always make sure it wraps. Like when I'm looking dead on the image, I don't want to see skin tone on the side. It just adds to the fullness. I was just talking about this kind of a new layout for me when I don't do as much, where I have two kind of subjects interacting with each other. So we do have our main, which is the dragon, and the way we can tell that is because it's bigger, right? And then we have our warrior down here, which is coexisting with this piece. It creates nice direction diagonally up the arm, which is kind of the natural flow of the body. We split the face. You guys have seen me do that. That's kind of how I like to do the faces. We have this hard light here on the right. You know, we have the blade catching some of the light, and then the whole left side of the face is dark in shadow. It's kind of a forced contrast, gets the eye to look over here. Really happy with it. Just some of the thinking, the plan kind of coming to life. It's really nice to see. Next session will be on the inner arm, continuing, thinking maybe we'll do cathedral castle type thing. we'll see, but could not be happier with today and yesterday. We're done for the back-to-back session.